Hello and welcome to Canvas, the Niger Delta Roundtable, where I discuss the future of our region blessed with hydrocarbon resources. Now, every week, we give some time to reflecting on topics relevant to the development of the Niger Delta and her people. This episode, no different. I'm here once again as we focus on how to take our region to a more promising future. This podcast is sponsored by the operator of the NNPC, Renaissance Total Energies ENR joint venture, Renaissance Africa Energy Company Limited, headquartered in Port Harcourt. Thank you for joining. I'm Adedayo Elushakin. And our topic for this episode, the renaissance of energy. Today we're diving into a transformative moment in Africa's energy journey. A new name is rising, Renaissance Africa Energy Company. And with bold ambitions and local leadership, Renaissance is stepping into the spotlight as Africa's future energy leader. At the heart of this movement is a commitment to energy sovereignty, sustainability, and community impact. And joining me to unpack this vision is someone who knows the pulse of the industry from the inside. Olusola Imoyo, General Manager, Wells at Renaissance Africa Energy Company. We'll explore the company's transition from Shell, its strategic direction, and what this means for the Niger Delta and the continent at large. Now, this is more than just an energy story. It's a story of rebirth, of possibility, and of Africa taking charge of its future. Again, topic for this episode on Canvas is the renaissance of energy. I guess once again, engineer Olusola Imoyo. He's a certified well engineer, certified drilling rig inspector, technical auditor, a certified continuous improvement practitioner, CIP1, and he is the general manager, Wells, Renaissance Africa Energy Company Limited. Olusola Imoyo, hi, welcome to Canvas, the Niger Delta Roundtable.
Thank you very much, Daya, and thank you for having me on Canvas.
Trust me, it's my pleasure. Before we share recording, we're having a conversation as to what your daily routine is. And you mentioned, quite importantly, that your side of the business literally does not shut down. It's a 24-hour thing, 365 days a year. And I was asking how you able to combine that with having what one might hope is a normal life, considering your work never ends. So how do you do it?
Well, thank you for that question. You know, we do not operate as an island in an organization. What we focus on is building a system that supports delivery, that supports excellence, that supports efficiency. Once you focus on developing the right system, as individuals, as people operating in that environment, all you need and all you will do is coast. You will just coast. If the system does not support you, you will break down. So over time, we've built a system that I would say has been resilient and can assure anyone that if you go through it, either in the way you're trained, either in the way you work, in the way you reason, in the way you discharge your responsibilities, you can flourish and you can perform. So I have a system that works. I have people in that system. I have technology in that system. I have support from the community. I have support from shareholders and stakeholders. I have government, I have governance. So it's not just me as a person coming to work and wondering, how do I survive my 24 hours a day work? Even commuting to the office, there is a system in place. There's somebody that takes me to the office who comes at a particular time. There's a system for me to commute from where I live to where I work. There's a system that says it is time to take a break. It is time to leave the office. And those are systems that we've tried and tested over time that they work and it will support me to deliver. So all I do is make sure I comply and I obey the system. So that I'm a general manager does not mean I do all the work. I have people that support me in doing the work. I have systems that are there in the system, in the organization to support me to do the work. I have people in other functions that also support me to do the work. So it's making sure that system works, and that's where I find my support. That's where I find my confidence. That's what I rely on, that I'm working in a system that works. So I do my bit, every other part of the system does its bit, and I can relax.
Let's talk about your journey, all of these years, and all the way to your being at Renaissance now. Take us through that journey briefly. And also, what excites you the most about being GM Wells at Renaissance?
All right. Growing up, I grew up in an environment where I saw the two sides of life. I saw abundance coexisting with lack. So I grew up in an environment where, you are in a family, growing up in a system where maybe your parents or your family or the system you're growing up in is providing service to a more privileged environment. You are coexisting in that. So you saw what it is to be successful. You also lived through what it is to have gaps in development, to have gaps in equal access to what it means to live above poverty anywhere in the world. So you are challenged, right, from growing up, that you just want to be amongst those people. That was what was driving us that time. Everybody wants to just exist and live well. So you go to school, you want to do the right things, you want to make sure that you score the right grades, that's what they tell you. And then you grow into consciousness and you realize that, look, there is more to life than exams. There's more to life than money. There's more to life than you want to just be amongst a set of people that are making impacts. So you gain admission into university, and then something starts pushing you that is just much more than existing and making money. It's just much more than eating. It is, how do we join that community of engineers who are inventing, who are driving innovation, who are making impact, who are touching people, touching lives. And that's why you just want to work for the best in the world. And that was the motivation for us in my generation back then. You want to study hard and you want to just join the best company. And in Nigeria, it's the best company. It's in the oil industry, the financial industry. That's where you find those people or those companies that you say are doing the right things. And that was the motivation. We want to be amongst the people that would be the leaders in innovation, in engineering, in this and that. That's what drew me to read engineering. And then when we finished, where do we work? You have all the oil industry was the peak. Any engineer back then, you just want to work in the oil industry. You want to join the Schlumberger, the Halliburtons, the Baker, Weatherford of this world, and then, or you join the Shell, Chevron, Total, Mobil of this world. That was our dream. You may not think that you will get there at that time, but you want to aspire, you want to try. And once the opportunity came, we took it. And that was it for me. I was serving and in one of the companies in the flow station in Izombe, somewhere in Imo State. And then after service, there was no work, there was no job. And I told them, look, let me just continue to work under this NYC terms and conditions. You don't need to increase my salary. I just want to be there and just be working in the flow station and building a future. And at some point, after 6 months, Shell advertised for SITP and said, we will train you for a year, and then you will take the test and we'll see if you can join. It was a great opportunity for me. It was like a dream come true. Being given that opportunity to compete is one of the greatest miracles that I think happened to me. And that is one credit I will give to the oil companies that have been with us before and are still here with us. The kind of access that they gave to everyone, it was equal opportunity. I did not know anyone. I didn't even know where the Shell headquarters was. I thought everything ended in Lagos, right? But I could see when I went through the process that it was a process that was fair. It was ethical. It was transparent. I didn't have to talk to anyone. I didn't have to know anyone. I was given equal opportunity as any other person to compete. I competed and I got in. That experience did not leave me and has not left me.
And now you're GM Wells.
And I'm GM Wells.
At Renaissance.
At Renaissance. So when I coming into Renaissance, it's around also the way the company that we worked for, that I joined in the beginning 24 years ago, the way that company operated was Shell. We worked for Shell for 24 years, right? I joined Shell 12th of March 2001. Renaissance bought the shares of Shell. The flag rose. The day we completed the deal was 13th of March. So I worked for Shell exactly 24 years. When this discussion around selling the shares of Shell to Renaissance started, Shell was very careful in managing that process, to their credit. And Shell said, look, we're not about killing the opportunity and killing the dream that we have bettered. We want a situation where we will hand over a thriving company to whoever wins. As such, we will not take any one person out of SPDC, as it was back then, and take them to SNEPCO, which we will continue to run after the completion of the sale. So if you are working in SPDC, you will remain with SPDC so that they can retain the talent and the people that are delivering the results and the fantastic company that SPDC was at the time. So if you were working in SPDC, to Shell's credit, you remain with SPDC. It was to have a very solid company to hand over to whoever was successful. So we all that were working with SPDC, a very large percentage just remained with SPDC. Only very few people that their significant time was being spent on SNEPCO went with SNEPCO. And that was how my GM then went with SNEPCO. And there was the opportunity to then appoint a new GM for Renaissance. And, I'll say the lot fell on me. And the company decided in its magnanimity to say, okay, you're chosen to lead, and here I am. And listening to my story and how the company transparently dealt with me provided the platform for me to first join and for me to transit to being GM Wells. I do not have any other choice but to uphold the integrity of that system and that platform so that people coming behind, can also enjoy the same benefits. And that's one of the things that I hold very dear. How do I keep the integrity of the system that Shell has bestowed upon us in Renaissance such that every other person hearing me that are probably in primary school, secondary school, can enjoy the same privilege that I've enjoyed? You wouldn't need to know anyone. You wouldn't need to do anything under the table to enjoy the same access that I've enjoyed. It's part of the training that I've received. It's part of the legacy that that Shell has left with us. It's part of the responsibilities that I carry to make sure that system is upheld.
How has your experience shaped your perspective on energy development in Nigeria and Africa?
All right. So thank you. So let me start with energy development. Right. Energy development in itself is around how we reliably, responsibly find, process, and distribute energy sources in a sustainable manner to meet societal needs. And I've been deliberate in defining it so that I can clearly show what my own experience has been and what I have seen in my 24 years in the industry. If you look at the way we've found and we've processed, we've developed and processed, first off, the technology, the knowledge to do those things back in the days were not local to us, right? The shells of this world, Mobil, Ajib, Total, and the Europeans and the Western companies, they came in because they discovered through their own technology that Africa, Nigeria, is, it has abundant resources. And as such, the resources are there. Let's go there. Let's partner with the people to find. So in finding, partnered with us, we found. In processing, partnered with us, we processed. When it came to distribution, in distributing, the distribution was skewed. I think, and in fairness to the companies as well, as business people, though you have responsibility to the environment, to the people, you also have to keep an eye on your bottom line. And it's about, where's the market for what I'm producing? Remember, in my definition, I said societal needs. So at the end of the spectrum, really, the business is driven by the needs of the society. So the business at the time was driven by the needs of the society and the people of Europe and America. They need to keep warm. They need to develop. They need to get industrialized. And so in distributing, the distribution was, look, we need to keep Europe warm. The companies and the industries that are developing at that time, sprouting, the car industry, the manufacturing industry, that's where the need of the energy industry was. And so the distribution went there. And as we prospect, as we find, and we process, we take it to Europe, we take it to America, we take it to the Middle East, we are taking it everywhere else. But so we did very well in Nigeria and in Africa in finding, and we did very well in prospecting and processing. But when it came into distribution and making it sustainable, that's where the gap was. And that's where the gap still exists till today, such that we're prospecting oil back here, but where are we sending it? We're sending the oil and gas elsewhere to meet the needs of the society out there, where we leave our own people yearning for development, yearning for knowledge, yearning for technology. And over time, the expectation was that as the companies come here to do that, they will also help develop the local capacity. But what I have seen is we haven't successfully been able to achieve that, right? So we've done very well in developing the technology with the IOCs, with the ISCs, but we've also not been able to build local capacity. So the impact of our development, of energy development, is not really being felt locally. And that's one of the things that Renaissance is here to correct.
Okay. In what is known as a landmark deal, because those deals don't happen every day, Renaissance Africa Energy Company acquired SPDC. From your vantage point, what does that mean for the industry and local communities?
All right, thank you, Daya. That event where Renaissance Africa Energy Company Limited bought over the 30% shares of Shell in the SPDC JV, which now means we have the Renaissance JV, is the most important event in the history of energy development in Africa. That was a landmark event that I think it's the pivotal point where everything that Nigeria and Africa has been yearning and asking for happened. That day when the flag of Shell went down as SPDC and Renaissance flag went up, that was the day that something shifted in the developmental journey of Nigeria and Africa. It was the day that thing, that magical solution, that miracle, that prayer, that company that everyone has been waiting for, that Nigeria has been waiting for, that Africa has been waiting for, that was the day it was bettered. It was much more than a set of people just coming to buy shares. It was the day that the future of Africa started changing. Look, Dio, in the leadership in Renaissance, we tell ourselves it is not about our day's job anymore. It is about the mission to rescue Africa. I was talking about energy development and how we fared and what Renaissance is all about, right? If you think about the fact that the people that brought in the companies to prospect, to process, and to take resources to where the market was at the time, that market was in Europe, where they came from, was in America, where they came from. Renaissance is Nigerian, 100%. This is where we are from. Renaissance, we say we are made in Nigeria, we are built for Africa. This is the company that everyone has been waiting for. This is the company that sits on the largest resource base in Nigeria, perhaps in Africa. This is the company that is here to change the energy landscape for us in Nigeria. This is the company that is here to change the way we collaborate, the way we relate with our stakeholders, especially the community. This is the company that is here to fill the gaps that I'm talking about. Africa is 1.5 billion in population. 600 million people do not have access to electricity. Nigeria is about 200 million, we say. 90 million people no access to electricity. Yet, the oil and gas that is powering every other place in the world is here in our backyard. But our people are the ones that are suffering. Something just has to change. That's what Renaissance is all about. Our vision is around liberating Nigeria and liberating Africa. It is more than a day's job. It is how do we move our people? How do I have the same passionate patriotism that took someone to leave Europe, to leave America, to go and find resources elsewhere, to develop their own country? That is what it's about. It is how do I use the resources that God has bestowed on this country and this continent to help the people, to develop the space, raise the level of development to where people that are coming behind me can favorably compete with anyone and anybody anywhere else in the world. So we're on a mission here. Renaissance is not about the profit so much. It's not about the business. It's about how do we help our people. It is about how do we help. It is energy development, energy security, energy. It's about the people. It's about meeting societal needs. That is what Renaissance is here to do. Our vision is clear. It is to be Africa's leading energy company, ensuring energy security and industrialization in a sustainable manner. So it is about how do we get energy to the nooks and crannies of Africa reliably, responsibly, and in a sustainable manner, and in an affordable manner. So it goes deeper than what we used to do, extracting oil and gas and selling the molecules and then making money. No, it's about us. It's about Nigeria. It's about changing the story of Nigeria. It's about changing the story of Africa. It's about looking back in 10, 15 years' time and seeing my son proudly saying, I'm Nigerian, I'm African, not that he wants to run away. That's what Renaissance is all about.
What you just described right now is obviously a journey. And every journey, no matter how long, starts with a step. So what are the immediate priorities for Renaissance post-acquisition, especially for the Wales division?
Okay, so let me start again by going back to our vision and taking just one part of it. There are 4 legs. There's the Afrocentricity part. So we said we're made in Nigeria, built for Africa, so there's Afrocentricity part. There's the energy security part, right? There's the industrialization part, and there's the sustainability. So we're standing on 4 pillars, right? Afrocentricity, we say we want to lead Africa in resolving the energy impasse. So that is the future. We have to establish our leadership in Nigeria first. So the part that is Africa is a journey. It will come, and it's coming in the future. Energy security is about reliably and sustainably providing access to energy sources to the people. That is immediate for us because it is something Nigeria is also suffering from. 45 to 50% of Nigerians do not have access to electricity. 100,000 women and children are dying in Nigeria because of exposure to smoke from cooking with firewood. That is an immediate task for Renaissance to resolve. Industrialization. It's about industrializing Nigeria, industrializing Africa. That's an immediate, a near medium-term task for Renaissance. And how does it start? We are sitting on the largest resource base as a company in Nigeria. So for us in Renaissance, it is how do we maximize the resources that this country is blessed with to drive that energy security, to drive industrialization. And well engineering is key to that. Well engineering is a function that connects the surface to the subsurface to bring out the hydrocarbon molecules that we will now use to secure that energy security, energy access, to secure that industrialization. If I fail in my duty to successfully connect the surface to the subsurface and responsibly maximize the potential down there, I have failed my company, I have failed the nation, I have failed Africa. So I understand where wells sit in that value chain. We cannot but play our part in making sure that what our subsurface colleagues have said is down there is all maximized and brought to surface. It is good for business, it is good for society, because that is what drives development. And we don't have a choice but to play our part in making sure that continuously happens over time.
Renaissance has committed to a $15 billion investment over the next few years. In your estimation, what impact will this have on Nigeria, infrastructure, development, and otherwise?
Okay, thank you very much. Your questions are speaking to the heart of the real essence of Renaissance coming on board in this country and our vision. You see, that day, when the flag of Shell went down and the flag of Renaissance went up, several things happened. It was a momentous occasion. That was the day that, as a company, we got severed from all the resources and the back-end support that we get from Shell. All the technical expertise that we lean on in Houston, in America, in the Netherlands, in everywhere in Europe, that was the day that was cut off. All the access that we have to Shell bringing money to bail out the joint venture, to fund projects, that was the day it ended. All the technical support that we get in safety, where you can rely on Shell processes to drive everything, that was the day it ended. It was the day it became evident that we must develop our own, even though we knew before. It was the day you pick up the phone and you can't speak to the next person in Shell or in Snepco as you used to do before. You then suddenly realize that you do not have any other choice but to collaborate with the local service partners and international ones to build new relationships within and outside, to build new relationships with the community, to build partnership and start building processes, technology, and support to be able to do all of these things that I said. So this is the backdrop of what will happen, and it has started happening. We don't have a choice but to collaborate with contractors, local contractors. Any problem that cannot be solved on the table in Nigeria where we sit down remains unsolved. Therefore, the creativity, the innovation must now happen locally, here in Nigeria. That's a lot of demand for not only the service industry, for our universities, for our development centers and centers of excellence. The solution must come from here now. I would have to sit down and sit with people locally to say, what can we do?
Speaking of solutions, how is Renaissance now balancing energy production with environmental sustainability and community engagement?
So let me just continue that, because I will get to where the community then comes in. I would say, look, we're very proud of our Shell heritage. If you open up our hearts, you will still see Shell there. So we say we're not replacing Shell. We're here to build. Renaissance is here to build on the legacies and the good things Shell has done. And part of us building on that is you will see the changes that would happen in the way we also then deal with the community. Because we are the community. I am Nigerian. The community is Nigerian. They are my brothers, right? It is my village, one way or the other. We are all interconnected. So you will see Renaissance power the communities. You will see Renaissance partner with the local communities to improve the access to electricity, access to education, access to training, access to knowledge. Why? Because it is existential for us. It is what determines whether we succeed or we do not. We recognize that. We are changing the way we operate and the way we collaborate with the community. It is going to change. And please mark it. Renaissance will power the communities. We pride ourselves and we say Renaissance is about shared prosperity. So you're going to see a Renaissance that is going to be interested in getting energy, getting power to the nooks and crannies of the community in which we operate. Not only because it is good for business, it is good for the future. It is good for the future in the sense that those local communities, those communities in which we operate, if they are peaceful, if there is stability, look, I also operate without any interference. The availability of my pipeline is tied to the stability of the companies, of the communities. That availability that I can put something through and it gets to the other end is tied to the stability, to the economic prosperity of the communities. the things that I do, the activities that I carry out to prospect, to drill, to develop, is tied to the stability of the communities. So the stability, the economic growth, the human development in that area, I'm interested in it. Why? Because it is what guarantees that my business can and will be sustainably progress over time. The talent that I require to drive this industry, a large percentage is going to come from that community, and it's coming from the community. So the prosperity of that community is important to us in Renaissance, and we are going to be deliberate about that, about making sure that, look, when you come back in years to come, maybe, just maybe, Port Harcourt will be the new Aberdeen. Maybe, just maybe, right?
Looking
somewhere in Bayelsa will be the new Holland.
I'm sure we're all looking forward to that.
Yeah.
It is Converse in Niger Delta Roundtable. The Renaissance of Energy is what we're discussing. My guest is Olusola Imoyo, a GM Wells Renaissance Africa Energy Company. We go for a break. We'll return in a moment. Please stay with us.
In the heart of our journey, where the sun touches the earth and the wind whispers through the trees, a new chapter unfolds. A chapter where energy illuminates more than just bulbs. It lights up minds. A chapter of unity, a coming together with a common goal to energize futures and illuminating lives. In classrooms, young dreams evolve, inspired by the promise of a brighter tomorrow fueled by available energy. Small businesses flourish, becoming seeds of prosperity. Energy that empowers and is catalyst for growth and change. The future is energy. So, let's light up the path to a sustainable future together. Energy for you, me, and the world at large. Energy for people and planet. We are Renaissance.
Welcome back to Converse the Niger Delta Roundtable. I'm Dial. We're discussing the Renaissance of Energy. My guest, Olusola Imoyo, GM Wells Renaissance. Welcome again.
Thank you, Dial, for having me on the program.
Every time the leadership of Renaissance addresses the staff and even external stakeholders, the core values CRISP is always mentioned. Even you've mentioned it in the course of this conversation. Collaboration, respect, integrity, safety, performance. Central to its identity now, it's been made clear to everyone. How do these values show up in your day-to-day work and decision-making?
All right. Thank you. You see, CRISP, like I said before, we're proud of our Shell heritage. We're not here to replace, we're here to build. So CRISP is also our attempt at building on what Shell has done and has left with us. So we have taken all the good things and we are building on them. So you see, for Shell, it was honesty. The values were honesty, integrity, and respect for people. So for CRISP, you will see the respect in there, you will see the integrity in there. Now, integrity, let me start from the middle. Integrity is something that is important for every business. If the business does not espouse value in the values that reflect integrity, it will go down. A large percentage of that integrity, central to it, is ethics and compliance. So ethics and compliance is part of that integrity. A business without the right ethical values and the willingness and the culture of compliance will eventually go down. If you make $20 billion, you will crumble. No one will deal with a business that doesn't have integrity, whether as community stakeholders or whether as partners in the service industry, even in the financial industry. You can't. It won't happen. So central to our existence, our relations and our relationship and the way we run is that part called integrity. And that is one thing that Renaissance is proud of as a heritage from Shell, and what we have said we will continue to uphold. I want to show up in my relationship with you as community or as service provider, and you say, look, I can hold this company to the high ethical standards. I know I can trust their word and I can trust the fact that they are fair and they won't, they won't do anything that is unethical. So what we tell our contractors and partners and our community these days and even before is, look, come forward and partner with us. As long as it is legal, it is ethical, and it's about shared values and shared prosperity. Put it on the table and let us discuss it openly. And that is what we do. That is what I preach. That is what we preach in Wales now. And we've been preaching it not that it's just starting now. We're building on it to say, look, don't be afraid. This is a new company. As long as what you are thinking is legal, is ethical, and we put value on the table, please bring it forward. It doesn't matter whether it's your brother's idea, your sister's idea, is your in-laws company, bring it forward transparently. Let us discuss it and let the right set of people with the knowledge and experience to deal with such issues handle them at different levels. So, in our conversations, integrity stands out. I spoke about collaboration, that we do not have a choice. It is existential for us to collaborate because we've lost all the back-end support that Shell used to give us. So every single day, in all our projects, in all our dealings, in all our interactions, we don't have a choice now but to collaborate with the service industry, with the experts in the universities, centers of excellence, to churn out those creative ideas on how do we run this company, how do we run this business, this industry sustainably. What technology is out there? What are you seeing? What is happening elsewhere? That's there. Now, so it is collaboration, is respect, is integrity. Safety is one thing we inherited from Shell. Shell didn't have that as a value, but because of the fact that we know where, for us, we've lost all those things that I've talked about, we must keep focus on safety. So safety has been elevated to one of our values. And it is something that we have been taking seriously and we continue to take seriously. And performance, importantly so, because, look, we're a business, we need to survive, right? We're a business that is growing and we know that we want to take over Africa. So performance is key. But what we tell people and what we tell our service partners and what we are preaching even to our community stakeholders is we don't want to perform in an unsafe manner. So if it is a performance without safety, I don't want it. I would rather not do the project if it is unsafe. I would rather not take that step if it is unsafe. So whatever it is that you want to do for me, help me make it safe. So we're telling our business partners, we're telling our stakeholders that we're on this journey together. And the values that we want to hold ourselves up to, and we want you as stakeholders and as partners with also hold me accountable to, are these values. Tell me, check me, take me on integrity, take me on safety, take me on performance. How am I handling these resources that have been handed over to me in a responsible manner? How efficient am I? How am I improving day to day, year to year? Those are things that we want to stand and want to challenge people to say, look, this is what we are holding ourselves accountable to. And from time to time, use that lens that I'm saying now to look at me and challenge me and say, you say you will operate responsibly. Show me safely. Show me how you performing. How are you treating me with respect? How are you collaborating with the industry, with service partners, with community, with regulators? Challenge me on those things. That's what we're saying.
Renaissance aims to become Africa's leading energy company. In practical terms, how do you see this vision unfolding? And especially, or in practical terms, how do you see it unfolding, and especially over the next decade or so?
Okay. So let me start by what has happened between the time Renaissance came on board and now, so I can defend what I'm saying with practical data. Between the time that Renaissance came on board and now, barely 4 months, we've almost doubled the production of the company. Yes, it's the same people, it's the same company, but the strategy and the mindset is changing. So Renaissance, it is the first time over several decades that the aspiration of the country and the aspiration of the company are aligned. Renaissance is about sustaining the legacies of Shell in gas, export gas, and then developing the capacity and the potential and realizing the potential of this country in domestic gas and oil. Because we need the oil to power growth, to power sustainable energy that we're attaining for in the future. We need to lift our people out of poverty. I mean, so everybody knows that government has borrowed a lot of money to power development that we're seeing now. But there is a lot more that needs to be done. We need the money from oil to power development, but we need to do that responsibly. So Renaissance is about maximizing the potential that we have today in a responsible manner to drive the growth both in Nigeria and in Africa. So you will see Renaissance, unlike Shell, that majored in oil and gas and then moving the molecules to NLNG as gas and then also the oil to their partners to sell. Renaissance is also about industrialization of Nigeria and Africa. So you will see Renaissance play in the midstream. And we're already doing so, right? In the company now, there is a business opportunity manager that has been appointed to drive the oil growth. There's a business opportunity manager appointed to drive gas, both export and domestic. There is one of the leadership team members that is saddled with growing the midstream. So you will eventually see, most likely, Renaissance play in building refineries, in building fertilizer plants, in building methanol plants. And if you think that, maybe I'm just talking about it, please note that 2 of the shareholders of Renaissance, they already have modular refineries. In their own small space, they already have that. And now that you have the platform and the opportunity that Renaissance presents, just know that in a matter of years, this will be done. And it will not only be done in Nigeria, it will be done all over Africa, right? And the opportunity that gives to partners, contractor partners that are with us, as we move into taking over and establishing our leadership in Nigeria and moving to the rest of Africa, we are not going to be doing those things alone. We are doing those things through our channel partners. We're doing those things through our service partners. So as we grow, the contracting community is bound to grow with us. As we grow, the community is bound to grow with us. And the journey has started already. The way we look at our contracts is different these days. We now look at contracts and say, what scope can we really create to enable new entrants play and develop at their own pace so that in time they can also compete with established international service contractors? That's the way we look at contracts now. That's my responsibility to make sure that this journey is not just for Renaissance. The journey is also for the service partners, the local companies, the communities, the people there, the students there, right? That when we say we are celebrating success, we are not celebrating success alone. Many other people, companies, communities, individuals are celebrating success in their own little ways because they have taken the journey as partners with us. That's what we're all about, and that's what you will see. And it has started already.
What role does indigenous leadership and talent play in shaping Africa's energy future?
Okay, look, if you follow development in the international world, you will discover that because the resources are drying up in those places, the knowledge base and the focus on training in those areas are also drying up. Some universities are already canceling things like oil and gas extraction training. They don't have it in their curriculum anymore. Very soon, we probably will not see geology or well engineering being one of the courses. It's already happening. I'm not saying what will happen. So in the future, we will most likely be relying on these local talents here in Nigeria and in Africa to drive the development that we're saying we're foreseeing for the future. We have a lot of resources that we still need to tap to develop the basics for our people. So there's a lot that we need to be deliberate about. And my people, the talents, the people in the Niger Delta, and in all those nooks and crannies of Africa, we need to recognize the fact that, look, the leadership challenge that we have for now and in the future is quite different from the leadership challenge that Europe and America has. The opportunities that are open to them and the needs that they need to solve is not the same with us. And we do not have a choice. I repeat, we, myself included, as a leader now, I do not have a choice but create an environment that would ensure that the Ochuko in Warri, that the Ibinabo in River State, that the Edem in Akwa Ibom, and every other place in Niger Delta has unrestrained access to education, to the right training, to the right motivation, to the right painting of what the future lies and the challenges that we have, that they come into this industry with excitement, with the right knowledge also, to be able to take over the leadership from what we are doing now and then sustain it in the future, because they are the ones that really own this future. What more can I be?
If you could speak to young professionals and students in the Niger Delta who aspire to work in energy, what would your message to them be?
What I will say is the future is bright. There is a lot of opportunity in this industry. There is a lot of responsibility that we still need people to carry in this industry. And we need people. We need the right talent. So please develop the interest in this industry. This industry is not about to die. We're a monolithic economy for now. This is the industry that shapes the present and the future. And you need to take interest in the industry. Look, 95% of the revenue of this country comes from this industry. GDP impact is less than 5%, I think. So we need to we're doing very well in helping to generate revenue for the country, but we're not touching lives. We're not touching as many people as we should. So there's a wide gap between what we're generating for the country and how people are feeling it and how we're impacting our people. And that is where the big gulf is. And that is where we need leadership. And that is where we need a continuous conveyor belt of people, students, and leaders, young leaders, coming in to help shape the present and the future. Who are the people we're going to hand over this to? They are the talents in those places. If we don't train them, if we don't develop them, if they don't make themselves available, then the industry is doomed. And if the industry is doomed, Dayo, the country is doomed. The nation is doomed. Africa is doomed. So we're at a point where we need to start the conversation again about how all of us, including myself, have to deliberately source, motivate, train, develop the talent for the future. And that talent, I repeat, is not out there in Europe. They are not going to teach those things that we need again. It's dwindling. It is here in Africa. And Nigeria is the giant of Africa. You can say anything. Nigeria is special, is unique. If anyone is going to take that leadership in Africa to drive energy security, to drive education, to drive training, to liberate Africa, it is Nigeria. If any company is well positioned to do that, it is Renaissance. Look, let them take active interest in this company called Renaissance. This is the company of the present and the future. This is the solution. The solution is not in the National Assembly. This alone. It is not in the House of Rep. If we do not sustain if we do not maximize the opportunity that Renaissance gives us at this point to liberate Nigeria and Africa, the resources that the leaders need in the center to drive development will not be there. So, aside from focusing on governance, how many people can we really have in the National Assembly? How many senators? How many House of Rep members? If you add all of them together, it is not going to be as much as what the Renaissance can affect. 600 million people, that is huge. That is the industry. That is the opportunity, and that is the task that we have as leaders, as students, as talents growing up in the communities as I speak. So please take active interest in Renaissance. It is the opportunity that we all have to liberate Nigeria and Africa. And I hope that I'll be able to do my part in sustaining that conversation, in providing that access, in encouraging the people and in assuring the communities that we are here to partner with them, we are here to grow, and we are deliberate about making sure that they also grow with us.
Everything's been said, and that's a wrap on this edition of Canvas the Niger Delta Roundtable. The renaissance of energy has been the focus of our conversation. My guest has been, is General Manager Wells Renaissance Africa Energy Company Limited, Olusola Imoyo. It's been a pleasure, Shola, talking with you, and I have no doubts that we will accomplish great heights indeed.
Thank you very much, Daya. And I look forward to coming here again and sharing our success and our progress with every of our listeners. Thank you very much.
Partner with us, and as we partner together, we'll accomplish great things. Thanks for watching and listening as well, and join, of course, the conversation on our various social media platforms. Bye for now.